Hello and welcome. Chris from Missouri here, bringing you another video about vintage baseball cards. In this video, I'm going to mention some names and tell some stories, but I'm going to show you some cards that I picked up at a card show this past weekend. And this card show was held in Middle Missouri in a town called Columbia. You've heard me talk about it before if you've watched this show, but we my friends and I sat up. Matter of fact, we had one full row of tables. Most of our stuff was vintage stuff, but it had some other basketball and football modern represented. But the dealers that were my friends that set up at this table, we had my friend Coop and his son Cameron set up, and they had a mixture of vintage and modern stuff. My friend Tom set up. He had a lot of good vintage stuff. My friend Lane, Lane has set up with me before. He's been setting up with me for a couple of years now. I think he's 13 or 14, I don't know, but he's shaving already, and I think he's already driving a minivan with a couple car seats in the back and working a 40-hour week, I'm pretty sure. But no, Lane's a young guy. Had a lot of good modern stuff, and he was pretty busy. And Billy Ballgame kind of set up at the end. And I don't know how busy he was. He was busy talking to a lot of people, which is, if you know Billy, you could expect that. But we had a great time. But this was kind of a hard show for me because it's the first time I ever set up at a show in 2 or 3 years without my friend Mauricio, who passed away. And I really appreciate the dealers at that show. That came up and talked to me and said, man, it's just not the same. I had Vito and Debo and Ron Barker and Eric and Jeremy and a host of other ones that I'm probably going to forget. But it really means a lot to me and helping me slowly get over the fact that Mauricio's not there. But what also is kind of fun about this show is there were some local guys, and when I say local, within a driving distance, that decided they wanted to meet up at this show, and a big part of it is because they wanted to be around Billy Ballgame. But if you're not a subscriber to these channels right here, Joe Redneck Collector and his friend Brian came, and Doug 316, he came, and we had a good time. And Mike Jayhawker Vintage Cards came, and he crossed the border and came from Kansas into enemy territory. But we all had a great time at the show, and I want to let them know that it was a great time. And I'm sorry I'm mentioning all these names, but there was a guy that had contacted me earlier, Matt from Whiteman Air Force Base. He's stationed there, and we were supposed to meet up at the show. We didn't get a chance to, but we did have some food after the show and a drink or so maybe, and had a really good time. And I met up with a friend of mine who I've met before, but kind of made sure we put a face to a name, and his name's Seth, and anyway, it was nice visiting with him and Seth's fiance, which Seth, I'm just going to say this out loud, dude, you're a little bit out over your skis there with this one. She's the best looking. She brought food from my favorite restaurant to us, and she's the best looking delivery person I've seen in a long time. And I had a friend named Adam who showed up, and he brought the cutest girl that was there, Emma, and she had a good time. She had a few cards, and she sent me a picture of some cards that she picked up, and it was great visiting with her and Adam. Adam owns a place called Tombstone Tackle. You can get all your fishing supplies there, and it's in Columbia, Missouri, and he does a great job. And let's see. Derek, which is Lane's dad, and Hampton, we did a trade, or we opened up a wax box we opened up a sealed box, and he pulled out the old Bo Jackson with the shoulder pads and the bat. Turn over to Doug 316's channel, and you can see Hampton and I'm doing all this, and it was fun. But I got some neat gifts there, and I'm going to show you some of them maybe. But My friend Debo's a dealer, and I tell you what, he's a big son of a gun, and he used to be a bouncer, and he's a tough old fireman and that kind of stuff. But gosh dang it, he wears his emotions on his sleeve. And his mother was a physical education teacher for 33 years, and on her walls, I guess in her gym, she had some laminated Sports Illustrated covers, and he was thoughtful enough to bring some over to me. He thought the ones that I would like, and golly, what a great guy. And so now let me show you some cards after all this. I've talked for 10 minutes and haven't even showed a card yet. My friend Coop brought me this John Donaldson. And this John Donaldson is a guy that his hometown is where I live now. He was born here in Missouri. He was up for the Hall of Fame. He did not get it, but he is in the Negro League Hall of Fame. And he does have a ballpark here in Glasgow, Missouri, named after him. And that's probably going to go in the local museum here. And, man, that was really nice. And, Doug316, he brought me a George Kell 1955 Bowman. Good-looking card. And he gave me this Frankie Frisch play ball, and I don't have this. And I really appreciate it. He didn't have to do that, but I'm so glad he did. That's probably why I like him more than I like Joe Redneck Collector, just to let you know. Now, Billy Ballgame is trying to sell a lot of his cards, and he brought some, and he was given, if you could buy them. He bought some cards off of me that he allowed me to buy back, and I bought more cards than what I'm going to show. I'm going to show 2 of his cards, but I picked up this from Billy, this Red Shandings 1960. It leaves me 1 card left to go after for my 1960 Hall of Fame set. And then he also had this beautiful exhibit card that I do not have, but man, I'm starting to like these exhibits. And this is Stan Musial, and I really like this card. Now, I picked up and did some trades and mainly picked up inventory. But my friend Jeremy, who sets up all the time, he had a card that checked off a couple boxes on my list. It checked off, I'm trying to get all the Hall of Famers in the T205 set. And then also I'm trying to get as many cards as I can in the Mike Payne's 300 Great Cards set. And just so happens he had this one here for a very reasonable price, and it's the guy that started the famous double play combination in that poem. It's Tinkers to Evers to Chance, and this is a T205 Joe Tinker. Now, I love that card, and I love showing you this. After the show, I was able to go out and have a cocktail and an hors d'oeuvre with my new friend Matt from the Whiteman Air Force Base. He's a young vintage collector. Sounds like he has some cool cards that I'm going to, the more I get to know him, the better. And I tell you, it was great having Brian with Joe and Mike Jayhawker and Billy Ballgame and Dougie. They came to my house and stayed for a long time, even though a lot of them had a drive home. And Brian, he should do videos. He should do some content because you can tell he's pretty intelligent, even though he hangs around Joe Redneck Collector. But no, you can tell he and Joe are really good friends, and I enjoyed sharing my collection with both those guys. And I really feel like I got a new friend. Joe and I are becoming friends and closer and closer, and I love his channel. But Brian, I think he rolled out of bed and showed up at a show, and next thing you know, he and I are friends, and I really appreciate them coming. I really appreciate everybody that watches this, and if you want to become part of this kind of circle sometimes, and I know this is not speaking to a big array of a lot of people, but if you want to become part of this circle but don't want to do content, just watch and comment on stuff, and get out there, leave a message, leave a phone number, get a hold of somebody, because I would imagine a lot of YouTubers, I know the people that kind of are in my little group would love to spend time talking to you and talking about your collection and the way you hobby. Now, guys, I'm just, again, every time I do a video, I love it. Love you guys. Thanks for paying attention to it. And remember, this is just a hobby. Collect what you like.